What is going on, everyone? Little Chichi here. In today's episode, and by popular demand, I am doing a pet tier list on OSRS and ranking some of the best and worst pets, in my opinion, of what I think are some of the cooler ones within OSRS. This has been something that was very much requested in my last live stream. If you guys haven't already, please make sure to be subscribed to my channel and like whenever I go live. But it's something, of course, for those of you who have never seen my series or have seen my series, some of the biggest focal points I have on my account is the fact that I very much like to I like to pet hunt. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. It's something that I constantly do anytime I'm playing this game. I think it's a fun grind, and honestly, it's such a big flex when you're able to show off some of the cool achievements, and what better to do that with the pets that you received on their account. If you haven't already, my channel has tons of videos, tons of content that I really implore you guys to watch. Again, I almost have up to 50 episodes thus far of my pure series from when I first started, and the videos may not be the best, but I think that it's really great if you kind of see the progression of how when I first started versus where I'm at now. The level of editing, the level of quality of the videos, and the level of content has increased substantially. So if you haven't already, please make sure to check out my channel, subscribe if you'd like, and like the video. Now, let's get into the actual pet tier list. I'm really excited. Again, I am going to be doing this from a purist perspective, you know, kind of the grind. I know that there's certain bosses that are kind of easier to hunt as a main account, but what I'm going to be taking into consideration is killing these bosses, how difficulty it is, which will really kind of boost how good of a pet I believe pets are, and then taking consideration, of course, the look of the pet. Of course, some of them are very nice, some of them are kind of funky, but all in all, they're pets and they're super cool into the game. So in any particular order, I think what best way to start off with the pets that I already own. So let's go in possible ascend, you know, from chronological order. So the first pet I ever received was Zulrah. I honestly think now normally in normal circumstances, having a Zulrah pet on a main account is it is what it is. However, a Zulrah pet on a 1 defense pure account, I think is still pretty commendable. I think that getting this pet is really great, so I'm going to go ahead and put this as an S tier list. I'd say the difficulty, learning the rotation on a 1 defense pure, honestly, as a main account, I could probably get like 4 or 5 KC. I know it's probably not a whole lot without banking, but as a pure, you're doing maybe 2 to 3 at most, depending how hard you get hit by the minions and stuff like that. So I still think it's a pretty grindy boss to begin with. The next pet I want to highlight is my second pet I received, which is the Beaver pet. And I know this actually is probably not going to be the best example of, because I have the Beaver pet, and I'm sorry, like I just don't think it's that good of a pet. It's definitely a cool pet, but I'm honestly thinking it probably belongs in like a C tier. Just because like I love it, but I think if they at current state without like a transmog option, like being able to transform into like a platypus or something, the Beaver just doesn't. I don't know. It's probably one of my least pets I have out. I'm sorry for a lot of you guys have been grinding the Beaver pet for a little bit, but I don't know. I think C tier is probably where I'm going to keep it, to be quite honest with you. All right, going into my third pet. Honestly, probably one of my favorite ones on my account. I do bring it out quite a bit, and that is the King Black Dragon. Honestly, this is a no-brainer for me. It's a freaking dragon, and honestly, now I think about it, you know what? Maybe I was a little too harsh. Maybe I need to bump up the Beaver pet. I'll bump it up to a B tier, because I actually got the Beaver pet. By chopping willow trees in Draenor Village, and it was pretty rare to get. So I'll bump up the Beaver pet to B tier. However, when I'm looking at the King Black Dragon, it is somewhat of a not difficult boss to kill. However, given the circumstances nowadays, the Dragon Hunter crossbow did get nerfed, where before it was doing 30% damage, accuracy and damage. It is now doing only 20%. So I still think it's a pretty difficult thing even to solo nowadays. It's a little harder to kill. Probably their trips are going to be a little bit longer. And I honestly, I love the way it looks too, and that alone honestly is what really gets me to want to put this at S tier. So definitely KBD S tier for sure. Going into my fourth pet, I got the Chaos Elemental. This is a tough one too. Now the Chaos Elemental is a pretty easy boss to kill. For me, it probably needs to be somewhere within like a C tier. I say that because it is a it's still kind of a rare. It's still kind of a cool boss. I think with Runelight HD, it definitely made the boss a little bit better. That's why I'm keeping it C tier, otherwise it'd be lower. But it was just a pet that was pretty simple to get. It's a 1 at 300 if you go for the straight Kalos Elemental kill, or if you go through the other, I forget what the Drange or one of the archaeologists or crazy archaeologists in the wilderness at a 1 in 1,000. But I think that it's still kind of it's definitely a cool pet on Runelight HD. But to me, I think the difficulty is not that hard, and it is one of the more common pets. So I'm definitely going to keep it at that C tier. Going into my 5th pet, oh goodness, I'm trying to remember all my pets in chronological order. So I believe my next pet was the wilderness one, starting off at Scorpio. Now Scorpio, honestly, I'm probably gonna put Scorpio at a D. I know, controversial, guys. I know. I apologize for a lot of you guys who grinded out this pet. Now, of course, with the new wilderness reworks, they decided to make the wilderness pet safe. So if you get the drop and you get the pet and you get PK'd, you're not gonna lose your pet forever. In the before time, you know, the risk of getting the Scorpio pet was a lot more. Now it's just like, if you get it, great. You know, it's on your account forever. For me personally, I'm putting this in a D tier because killing this boss isn't that difficult. You probably waste a ton of supplies killing it, and honestly, at the end of the day, it is just a scorpion. I also have to say something, and I'll see if I can put it on video, but the Scorpio, the way that it walks is like it's too big for the tiles, and it never follows you directly behind. It's just, I'm not sure if Jagex, you're watching this video and this needs to be reprogrammed, but it just walks a bit funny. I think there's a couple other pets in the game that actually do the same thing, but I'm not honestly, the way that it doesn't follow you directly behind, it's just not it's kind of a crappy grind to kill, and honestly, you waste more money. I actually spent just about 15-20 mil in that grind alone because of the runes I had to take and the barrage casts and the entangle spells and stuff like that. So honestly, Scorpio, I'm so sorry. I have the pet, and that's why I can say this, D tier, unfortunately. Okay, so I think intermittently I had gotten the Tangleroot pet, I think probably in between the grinds. And the Tangleroot pet, honestly, for me, definitely a solid A tier pet. So the way I got it is through the seaweed over at Fossil Island, and I honestly think it's just honestly a great looking pet. The way to get it isn't super difficult. Of course, it's just really just doing farm runs and doing tree runs and things like that. However, the way I got it is through seaweed runs, and it is such a great pet, and of course it has so many transmog options. I think that's a really great feature that it has about this particular pet and most of the skilling pets. So that, and it looks like Baby Groot, honestly, just I'm gonna put it at a solid A tier for sure. All right, the next pet we're gonna talk about is the Callisto cub. Honestly, this pet, quite honestly, I think deserves to be an definite A tier. The reason why I didn't put it at S tier is that it is quite easy to kill. I love the Callisto pet. I think that the grind is pretty simple with a crossbow, and the look of just, it's a freaking bear. I mean, come on now. It definitely keeps it at that A tier, so I'm definitely going to keep that for sure. Now, going into one of my fan favorites, honestly, Veteon. Definitely deserves, in my heart and my opinion, S tier. Now, let's take this from the perspective of a pure account. How many pure accounts, and I know that there's a good portion of you guys out there watching my vids, hey, how you doing? Now, Veteon is a very annoying boss to kill when you don't have a main account and you're just soloing this thing. And for some of the pures who don't even have 60 attack that can use the Vigorous Chain Mace and you have to use a crossbow, honestly, this is a tough boss to kill. I mean, you're talking 2 forms, 4 dogs to kill just for a single KC, and not to even mention people who swing by PKing you, you know, people who are just like racking your kills and getting out of the safe spot, and it's just honestly such a bad grind. It's such a difficult one at that. But to finally have this on my account was such a relief. You guys literally have no idea. I was just like so stressed out literally hunting this thing that having it, I don't even have to worry about it. So honestly, Veteon for me, and the fact that it's the only wilderness boss that has two variants to it. It's got the normal version and then the Veteon Reborn version, which is the orange one. honestly, it does it for me. S tier, 1000%. Very rare pet to have on a 1 defense pure account too. Now I noticed on this list that it doesn't have the Soul Wars pet, which is quite unfortunate. However, if I had the Soul Wars pet, I'd definitely categorize it in probably, I think, a B tier. I think it's a fun little mini game to play. Unfortunately, the way that they reworked it, before you could pick sides in Soul Wars, whether you wanted to be on the blue side or the red side. However, now they just kind of group them up into one area, and then the game will kind of determine who goes on which side. It's kind of a crappy grind to begin with. It's okay. But yeah, if Soul Wars was able to be picked, I definitely put it right here. I don't see it listed here unless I'm not seeing it directly. I'll swing by if I happen to see it, but I don't think I see it immediately. Would go there. And then going to some of the last pet that I have is definitely Venenatis. Venenatis, oh my, okay, definitely keeping it an A tier. So Venenatis as a 1 defense pure, of course, the grind is I'd say it's very easy. With a crossbow, with the cannon, this is a very easy boss to kill and very profitable at that. I honestly think though the look too has a lot to do with why I'm categorizing this A. It's a really cool boss. I know a lot of you guys don't like spiders, but for me personally, Venenatis is a legitimate, really cool boss to have behind you. It's a very big NPC to be following you as well, so it just looks really great, and just the colors are just really nice. That red and black is just like really cool to see. Now going into pets that I don't necessarily have, but I'll just kind of go in order of what I don't see, and just start adding to the list. Armadyl, if I could get this as a pet, oh my gosh, I would lose my shit. But Armadyl definitely goes into S tier. I don't know, a lot of you guys who've hunted this as a pure, I honestly recommend you go with a team of like 3 or 4 or 5 to help you get the KCs, because this is a very difficult boss to kill. Solo, duo, it's even with a twisted bow, which I know is not super meta. I think it's like the Chinchompa method. It's very difficult to kill by yourself, so definitely a solid S tier if you can get this pet on your account. And of course, the drop rate being 1 out of 5,000, come on, that's literally like crazy. The Calphi Queen, listen, I know some people are in the comments are not going to like this pet, but for me, it's a difficult pet to get, and the fact that it's got a transmog option and you can switch between the normal and the queen, come on, honestly, to me, a solid A. And it's a very difficult boss to kill as a pure as well. Even with the blowpipe, with the nerfed blowpipe at that, it's still a very difficult boss to kill. So I definitely love, if you could get this as a pure, a very big achievement, because there's a very few amount of selected individual pures out there who have the Calphi Queen on a 1 defense pure account. Commander Zileana, honestly, another solid A as well. The difficulty is kind of a hit or miss. If you have the accessibility to use a twisted bow, it is a great pet to have on a 1 defense pure. However, I just think it's still a little easy, so I won't give it an S tier like I will Armadyl. Even if you don't have a T-bow and you have just an ACB or maybe a dragon crossbow, you can still effectively kill this with like 2 or 3 people pretty easily with the diamond bolts and the ruby dragon bolts. I think that this is very easy boss to kill. But I think for me personally, any of the God Word Dungeons bosses, if you can get them as pets on a 1 defense pure, really just gives that solid A, S tier for me. But I think Zileana definitely deserves an A tier. Looking at Volcano, to me, I'm gonna give this a B. I say a B because it's not difficult, but the requirements to kill Volcano on a 1 defense pure is just a little tedious. You have to do the entire Song of the Elves quest on a 1 defense pure, which is not difficult of itself, it's just annoying. And Volcano, the grind isn't that bad. I've done quite a number of KC, but it's just, for me, it's just not the best grind to do. It's okay, and you do make quite a bit of money, I think, at Volcano, but I just don't think the pet itself looks that great. It's not that I don't think it's a big achievement on 1 defense period. Just for me, I think it deserves a solid B. It's got a good look to it, but it's not anything that I think deserves like an A tier, if that makes sense. The giant squirrel, ooh, for me, I think I'm also going to give this a solid B as well. And I say a solid B. It is a great skilling pet to have. Agility is not something that most players like to personally train. Agility for me, I like agility. Do I see myself grinding this, like, you know, future state, absolutely. But do I see myself, like, would I be bummed out if I didn't have it? I think it's just I think for me, I definitely see myself grinding this pet. It's just, oh man, the grind is just like, ugh, it's such a turn off. I don't know. But I definitely think that it's such a cool pet to look at. Having following you for sure definitely deserves that B tier status for sure. Corporeal beast pet. This 100% solid S. I say that with confidence because the way to kill Corp Beast, it's honestly like what, 15-minute kills. You have to have, you know, if you're planning to do this on a solo pure account, specking down Corp Beast with both the Dark Light, Arc Light, you know, BGS or whatever the case is. If you don't have options to those and you're 60 attack pure like me, all you have access to is just the Dark Light and the Dragon Warhammer specs. You still need a main account to help you kind of like use the BGS specs to get it down, just so you're able to effectively kill it. The way you kill it is annoying too. You have to mage it. That's probably one of the best DPS options available for pures. It just sucks. However, the return is so amazing. Getting a Corp Beast at like a 1 in 5,000, and not even to mention, it literally has a transmog option between the Dark Energy Core or the actual Corp Beast itself, is such a great pet. So I'm definitely keeping this at a solid S tier for sure. The Rock Golem. Oh my goodness, guys. For me, the Rock Golem deserves an S tier. Why? For me personally, it deserves an S tier because it has so many different options. You don't really see it on a whole lot of accounts, main or pures. But to me personally, just because mining isn't such a popular skill, at least for me personally, I honestly think that the mining pet definitely deserves an S tier. And I have 85 mining on my pure account. I have like 94 mining on my main account. I don't have the mining on either account. However, I have so many friends that have received this pet at like 60 mining, 70 mining. I'm so jealous. But for me, honestly, with the kind of the rarity, if you will, of people not liking to train mining, as well as the different transmog options, I definitely like this being at an S tier for me personally. And again, they teach their own. It's personal. And the rune crafting pet. I feel kind of 50-50. Do I see myself grinding this pet? Absolutely not. Do I hate rune crafting? Yes. However, because it has transmog option, it's going to be bumped from a C tier to a B tier. Honestly, if I had the pet myself, I'd be flexing it all day long. Do I like the grind? No. Do I think it's a great pet? Yes, 1000%. It is a great pet to look at. It deserves a solid B tier list. Going into the Dagonnoth Kings, Dagonnoth Supreme. We'll probably just knock out all the Dagonnoths at once because I think it'll be a little easier. But Dagonnoth Supreme, honestly, I'm giving this an A. It's very cool. Out of all the ones, green is like one of my favorite colors, so I definitely like Dagonnoth Supreme, one of the best ones. And the fact that it's like the range one, has like the spikes on the back and everything, honestly, to me, solid A. It's a very, I won't say, it's one of the few ones you can't actually, or you probably could safe spot it inside of the Dagonnoth Kings. I haven't tried it yet, but I can definitely solo the other ones. But this one specifically, it is a little bit difficult and out of the way to kill it, but I think it's a great pet to have overall. Dagonnoth Rex, I think I'm going to keep this at a B tier. I say a B tier because it is pretty simple to kill. Even on my pure and main account, I have quite an enormous amount of KC at this pet. Not so much my pure, but a lot. I think I have like 2,500 kills on my main account. It is a very easy boss to solo. Back in the day, I used to just solo Dagonnoth Rex just for a chance of the B rank, just so I can like afford bonds. So definitely one of the more profitable bosses that I've had in the experience to kill, but it's not super rare. I've seen tons of other purists having this pet, and it's just not a difficult boss to kill overall. The Supreme is a little bit harder to kill and just not easy as to safe spot inside of the DK's lair. Now, Dagonnoth Prime, I definitely like this pet. It is such a cool, I love the colors, the red and like kind of the green or gray color scheme. I'm really liking, and to me personally, it's just like one of the cooler ones within the Dagonnoth family, I feel like. And so I definitely want to keep this at an S tier. If I can ever get this on my account, is one of the cooler ones to get. Now, I'm not a fan of Slayer, but I do like some of the Slayer boss pets, and I think that the thermonuclear smoke devil deserves a solid B tier. I say that because I definitely I don't have the experience of killing it myself, but I do know that it is a very cool looking boss to a boss pet to have, and I've seen a good number of individuals have it, and that's why I'm keeping it a B tier. But I definitely like the look of the pet. It's a really cool pet, and it just because of how common it is, I'm definitely going to keep it at that solid B tier for sure. General Grador. This is going to get a solid A. I am going to say this for a number of different reasons. As a peer, the difficulty is a hit or miss. I say that because you can, like, for example, use a blowpipe at Bandos, but it's very difficult because if you don't know how to prey flick if you don't know how to prey flick at Bandos, it's very difficult boss to kill as a pure, just because the minions are always on you, constantly dealing damage. So for me personally, because of how difficult it is, because of the 1 in 5,000 drop rate and how rare it is, when this thing walks behind you, it makes like that doosh, 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 like walking animation. So to me personally, I'm going to keep this at an S tier. Jad, is this even a question? If any pure account ever had this thing on their account, it definitely would be an S tier just because of the sheer look of it. Now, of course, it even has a transmog option. If you're able to do all 6 waves of Jad, you're able to transmog it and make it look even cooler. So for me personally, it is definitely a solid S tier. I feel like it's a very iconic pure pet to have. Common or uncommon is such a great looking pet to have for sure. Skotizo, I honestly, to me, it's a solid B. Again, I've seen this pet quite a bit. It's a very cool looking pet, and the fact that it has that really cool walking animation when you walk, when it walks behind you, it makes that same kind of thud sound that General Grador does. For me, the sound, the look of it, everything alone is going to give it a solid B tier for me for sure. Now the Abyssal Orphan, I'm thinking about, it would get a C tier. I just don't like the look of it, but I think because of how difficult it is to have that high of Slayer level, I haven't killed it myself, but I think that the grind is even pretty difficult as well. It seems like a really kind of tedious boss to kill, but the look of it is okay. I think the Slayer level is really unique, and the pet is pretty unique to have, and I'd say I definitely give it a solid B tier. Again, I haven't had the experience of killing the boss myself, but I think it's a cool enough pet to at least consider for a B tier, and a little bit higher than what I would have classified it as a C, but definitely B for sure. Herbivore. I think this is another one of those meh pets. I say meh because this one for me is just more about time, how much you want to spend doing the grind. Herbivore, it is kind of difficult to get. The hunter level you have to have on Fossil Island just to hunt this thing is quite impressive. And that's why I'm giving it a B tier. I think the look is pretty cool. Do I think I'd rock this more than my other pets? Probably not. I think it looks really cool, but it's not enough to me consider as an A or B tier, or A or an S tier. So I'm definitely keeping it an A for sure. I'm honestly, to be quite honest with you, I'm gonna give this pet more of a, I don't know, probably somewhere on par with like D. I'm honest with you. I think that this pet, now I'm not sure if I can receive this on my pure account. I'm pretty sure I can't, but I'll have to double check that. But this pet is quite, I don't know, a little lackluster to me. It's similar to just like maybe a Chaos Elemental pet. Again, the Chaos Elemental got a little bit boost because of Runelight HD, but for me, the Chinchompa is just a alright pet. It's not anything significant. I consider this on the same tier of like having like a pet catwalk with you. But just considering some of the difficulty, the requirements you have to take just to get it, I'm just going to keep it at D tier. Again, I can't go any higher. It's just, it is what it is. The Hellpuppy. Listen, of course, I don't have the Slayer level. You guys know I don't like Slayer that much. However, Hellpuppy, a solid B. Why do I say it's a solid B? I think it looks like a cool grind to do. Honestly, I'd love it. I'm not quite fan of the Hellhound puppy. I think that if they scaled it a little bit bigger, honestly, I think I'd like it more. Current state, it's too tiny for it following, and that honestly goes for a lot of, now Jagex, if you guys are watching this, I highly encourage you guys to relook some of these pets, because as I'm going to get into Vorkath, if you compare and contrast the size of Vorkath to the size of KBD, there's a noticeable difference, like a huge difference in the size comparison. Why is KBD almost 3 times the size of Vorkath? Vorkath is Vorkath is humongous. I think it's like almost the same size, if not bigger. So Jagex, you may need to reconsider some of the looks of some of the pets because I think they need to be scaled a little bit bigger. If Hellhound was a little bit bigger, I honestly think it would deserve an A or an S tier, but it just looks too tiny for the model it has behind you. And now it does look really cool around the holidays. It has like those party hats. I think it's really cool, but again, current state, no. The Bloodhound, honestly, 100% S tier. If a pure can even complete a like 1 to 5 elite clue scrolls like entirely, that's a humongous accomplishment, let alone having the Bloodhound and getting the chance of the Bloodhound pet. This is definitely one of the S tier pets for sure. If you were ever to get this on a pet, if you were ever to get this on a pure account, it's a very difficult pet, but if I ever got one, I'd be flexing that thing all day long. I don't even care, honestly. All right, so for me, the next one is going to be the Theater of Blood pet, Little Zik. I definitely want to keep this as an A tier. Now I know that a lot of pures have hunted TOB. However, with the 60 attack limitations, with kind of like my current setup as it is, and I'm not that great with it, I definitely see myself grinding this pet. However, I think it's a really cool pet nonetheless. The fact that you're able to get it looks really cool. It's on par with what like the Venenatis Spiderling because of the legs and everything. But I think that when you're able to finally get that dust to be able to turn it into the metamorphic dust to turn it into all the different variants, I honestly think is a really, really cool pet to have. So definitely keeping it at a solid A tier for sure. Oh my goodness. Krill, I think, from Zamorak God Wars Dungeon, I am definitely keeping this at an S tier. For me personally, it is a big freaking demon. It's got dual blades. It's such a badass pet to have, and on a pure no less. I understand that the grind is really easy. However, the problem is, if you're gonna go do God Wars Dungeon, sometimes the Zamorak boss is kind of overlooked because you don't make that much profit than you would at like maybe Bandos or maybe Sarah Doman or maybe Armadyl. But it is one of the few bosses that looks really, really cool. Honestly, very underrated. And the fact that it's all red, it's just a crazy looking boss. Honestly, on a pure count, S tier, 1,000 freaking %. So for Hydra, I definitely like this pet. I think I'd give it an A tier for sure. I think the fact that it has the different transmog options, different colors on every single one for all the different heads it has, I think is a really, really cool little touch that they did. Unfortunately, because of how high the freaking Slayer level is to kill this thing, I don't see myself hunting this anytime soon, but it's definitely such a cool boss pet to have, and the different variants definitely give it that A tier for sure for me. All right, Sarachnis. Ugh. Now for me, I'm gonna give this. Now, I don't think when I compare this pet and Venenatis, I honestly don't think the two compare. I think I'm gonna keep this at a B tier. I say that because I think Sarachnis has a little harder KC. I think the difficulty to get this pet is very difficult. I think I can get away with maybe 1 to 2, 3 kills at most. I'm actually going to end up doing this boss grind a little later with the Colossal Sword, but current state, it is a difficult boss to kill. Even killing the minions, not killing the minions inside the boss area, it's just something that's not exactly the easiest thing to do, but it's definitely super cool, but not as cool as Venenatis. So I'm gonna give it a solid B tier. It looks great. It's a cool pet, but the grind I just can't stand. So unfortunately, B tier for me. As you guys see, I do like the B tier. Pet Rocky for me, A tier. I say that because Pet Rocky, you have so many different transmog options. It can turn into a freaking red panda. Are you kidding me? Yes, 100%. I think it's a really cool pet. I do see myself grinding this in the future. Seems very simple, and of course, it's just a really awesome pet to begin with. The Grotesque Guardian pet. It's got the night and the moon, different variants. So I think for me, I'm going to keep it at a B tier. Again, cool transmog options. I don't think it looks anything crazy. I think it looks all right. Again, it's my kind of personal opinion, but I like the pet. It's not for me. I think it just, if I had it, I'd flex it for a little bit, but just as much as I'd flex like the pet Beaver. I think it's a cool pet, but it's a Slayer pet. I've seen a number of accounts have it, so that's where I'm putting it at. The Heron pet and option to turn into the great Heron, I think for me personally, I'd give this a solid A tier. I know that fishing pets are probably one of the more common pets to have on any account, and they're pretty simple because most accounts would grind barbarian fishing and things like that. But for me personally, I think I'll definitely keep Heron at an A tier. The fact that you can transmog it and turn to the great or the giant, I can't remember the verbiage, but the bigger Heron, the blue one, honestly I think deserves A. It looks really cool, and the fact that you have the option to kind of upgrade it later on by doing Temporos, I think definitely keep it that A tier for sure. Now Giant Mole, I think I'm gonna keep it at a solid B tier. No, I take it back, A tier. A tier, baby. So Giant Mole I think is I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's a crappy grind. It's a 1 out of 3,000. There's no notable drops. It really sucks. However, big however, it does have different transmog options from the normal baby mole or the baby giant mole rat or something. I can't remember the exact name is, but it turns from this normal variant to the pink one. And honestly, it's such a cool little pet to have. I have now like 2,400 KC, so I'm hoping I get it pretty soon. But it's definitely a cool little pet to have. I think it's perfectly sized. Is exactly what a baby mole should look like. And honestly, if you go to the Motherlode mine and you have the pink version of it, I want to go like to Motherlode mine and think like one of the baby moles went like rogue or something. So, but definitely an A tier for sure. Baby Chinchompa pet, I think. For the baby Chinchompa pet, I think I'd definitely give it a B tier. I know that there's all these different transmog options. However, I just don't think it's anything crazy. It's a great little thing to hunt because you can make tons of money hunting Chinchompas. However, just for me, I don't see it. I don't see me grinding it more than, a few days at most. It's just a bad grind, and I don't know. It's just in a weird spot, to be quite honest with you. All right, so for the Inferno pet, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I as much as I want to, because I'm never gonna end up doing Zuck. Honestly, it's 100% S tier. If I can get the Inferno pet on my freaking pure account, I would just be to the moon. And any pure account to ever have this pet is honestly like super lucky and super awesome. So personally, I'm going to keep the Zuck pet over at the S tier, solid S, 100% all day every day. Now the pet Kraken pet, I think that for me, I'm going to keep this at a B tier. It kind of goes on board with some of the other Slayer pets, pretty common to have. On a pure account, it is kind of easy to hunt, so there's no hard difficulty. I like the look better than I like Scorpio or the Chinchompa or Chaos Elemental, so I'm keeping it at a B tier. Don't want to go any lower, don't want to go any higher. I think B is exactly where it needs to be. Vorkath. If I could ever hunt you in a pure account, I definitely would. However, for the sheer look, I'm definitely going to rank it aside from that. And for me personally, I think an A tier would be exactly where it needs to be. I think if a pure account could hunt Vorkath, I think I could definitely see myself hunting it and immensely, getting the pet for sure. And that's why I want to keep it at an A tier. I think that it's a great difficult boss. It's not super challenging, but super cool. Of course, pures can't hunt it, but I've definitely hunted on my main account. It's such a great grind, and to me personally, the look is really awesome. I love that blue color. It's probably one of the more unique blues you see on any of the pets. So 100% A tier for sure. Younglif. So for Corrupted Gauntlet, I definitely want to keep it at an A tier. It is a very difficult. Now, with the requirement of Song with the Elves and knowing the rotations, knowing how to go into those rooms and grabbing exactly what you need, and the difficulty of the Younglif boss itself as a pure account, 60 attack, it's honestly deserves an A tier. And the fact that you can switch between the normal variant and the corrupted version, A tier 1000%. So for me, if you're a pure account, Younglif is a super cool boss to have as a pet. Now, I think I see the pet Phoenix over in B tier again. I say that because, of course, it is more of a common pet. I see myself getting this pet, but for me, it's going to be more of a kind of a necessary unlock. I kind of have to get it just because it's the pet Phoenix, and I have to, you know, of course I'm going for all the pets I can get on a pure account. I think because you can switch the colors and everything like that, I think it is a solid B tier for sure, 100% all day of the week. Guys, I've talked about this once. I've talked about it even on my live streams. Pet Olm is one of my goals. I have 100 KC currently right now at the Chambers of Xeric. I definitely see myself grinding this a lot more in the future. Such a great pet to have, such a great cool option, and the fact that it even has the metamorphic dust, which is right here. You know, turning this into multiple variants within the chambers. I mean, come on. Honestly, it is 1,030% worth it to get this pet. Super cool, super big flex to have, and an awesome pet overall to look at visually, following a pure account. And of course, the Penance Queen pet, if I had it on here, I would put the Penance Queen pet somewhere in S tier. It is honestly such a cool pet to have. You don't see that many pures, one defense pures at that, hunting the Penance Queen and going for the grind, and getting, like, you know, level 5 rolls and stuff like that. And that's why I think, for me personally, the look is kind of funky. It looks crazy, but that's exactly why I love it. It just is, it's a ginormous pet that follows you. It's huge, and it's honestly just a cool looking pet and a very unique pet to have. It's a 1 in 1,000 rate. Just to get a single KC can take you maybe up to, you know, 25 minutes, or it can take you over an hour, or maybe a couple hours. And that's why I think it's such a great pet to have, because it's a very rare one. Not many people have it, and it's such a cool pet to have. So I think for the most part, I think that covers most of the pets on the list. If I did miss one, I'm really sorry. I'll see if you know, I can kind of maybe add them in the comment section, if you will. But I'm super happy that I was able to kind of do this pet tier list. I really hope you guys enjoyed some of my thoughts and opinions of why some of these pets deserve what they need to be. Like I said, I am nonetheless, even though that I rank these pets from worst to best, honestly, they're all kind of my favorite. I love pet hunting, and I would be super stoked if I had any more pets on this list that I don't already have, just because I just love the pet grind. If I can hunt it, I want to get it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Please make sure you like my video, and of course, there's just tons of videos on my channel. There's a little over 40 right now of all the different pet series and all the different things, and every single pet I've ever received in this game, I have it on video. So it's really cool if you want to go through the journey with me. If you guys want to start from the beginning all the way to current day, you can do that. So yeah, and of course, if you guys ever want to reach me in game, feel free to. My private is always on. Reach me at any time. Little space Chichi on RuneScape. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's little rant, little talk for my pet tier list, and of course, I'll catch you guys on the next one.